Right, so we're starting
with Avatar. Yeah,
thanks for the interruption. That was worth it. So CGI, emotion.
Yeah, the emotion, you do genuinely feel, you relax into the idea that the creatures are, that they're not CGI, conjured things. They are actually there, and the facial expressions work very well. The avatar, which is being driven, I think that's the only word we can use, isn't it? Being driven by Sigourney Weaver's character, does look like the Sigourney Weaver version, the alien version of Sigourney Weaver. And it's funny because when she breaks into a smile, because Sigourney Weaver's got such a distinctive smile, and the avatar is based around the shape of her face, it is clearly Sigourney Weaver, despite the fact that it's a 12-foot blue alien with a totally different hairstyle. Okay, so that's very good. The second thing is the world which Cameron creates. I mean, this famous thing about King of the World, he's a world creator. It is true that the planet that he creates is a world. I mean, it is this lush, vegetation, these extraordinary trees, plants, and you are in that world. And you'd really have to be pretty cynical to deny that Cameron has done, on a technical level, that idea of creating that world and putting you in. He does. I mean, you are really there. And I know the joke about Fern Gully in space, and I've made it myself. But hey, there were things about Fern Gully in space that actually sound like quite a good idea, so that's good. Second thing is, the story is hackneyed, in as much as we have heard the Pocahontas story before. We have heard the story about, the military being the horrible, oppressive people. In fact, the way that we want to go is to be nice, because obviously there's an allegory with the Native Americans, there's an allegory with Vietnam, there's somebody else called it Dances with Wolves in Space. It is all those old stories that we know quite well. Going in and blowing things up, probably not good. Going in, being nice and looking after plants and the environment, probably good. I mean, it's not, it's not a groundbreaking argument, but I think it's a decent argument. As important, I think, is the issue of gender equality, because whatever else may be true of Cameron, he has always been very good, as an action director, on gender equality. You look back at things like Aliens, the defining image of Aliens is Sigourney Weaver holding Newt, looking up at the mother alien. And it is that thing about, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. In his movies, it's the female characters are often the toughest characters. That's also true of the Terminator movies. And in this, there is no sense that it's boys action and girls staying at home. They are all equal. So whatever else may be true about Cameron, he is an equal opportunities action director. I mean, he does want to have it both ways. He wants the action and the blowing up, but he wants a pacifist action and blowing up, and also gender equality pacifist action and blowing up. So that's fine. So all those things I think are good. And if you go and see it, I think if you're a teenager and you go and see it because what you want is great big sci-fi spectacle, you are going to be pretty impressed. I mean, it is impressive. Those are the good things. On the downside, firstly, it is long and baggy. Like so much of Cameron's work, it really needs to be pruned. I was saying this about Quentin Tarantino, but boy, does he need to rein it in. It's overwritten. An awful lot of the dialogue is terribly clunky, and things are explained, from a great distance. Things are telegraphed up, and the dialogue does often read like quite poor comic book dialogue. People saying the really, really obvious in a way that they really don't need to. Secondly, there is a sense with all of this that the thing is so big that actually it somehow becomes heavy. It's funny that for a movie which is about, the virtual reality of being in an avatar, and is about flying, and is about outer space, and is about new worlds, in fact, in which the central image is the gravityless flying mountains, it's a terribly heavy movie. I mean, at times, it's like watching a huge ocean liner turning round 360 degrees. I mean, you're impressed by it because you're just impressed by the sheer mechanics of it, but you know that it's going to take an awfully long time for the bow to come round the other way. And because the plot, literally 15 minutes in, you could plan out the movie. You go, he's going to go to that side, she's going to do that, this is what's going to happen, that character is dying in that way, so that when that, you really could plot the plots out.
Yeah, I just after I'd seen the film, explaining to the kids at home the kind of setup, and instantly they had worked out what happened at the end without having seen any of it.
Exactly. And one of the problems with that is, and I hate to invoke Friedkin here, but Friedkin always used to say the thing about because it's a good point. He always used to say, the audience is 5 steps ahead of you. So you really need to cut to the chase. Cut out all the shoe leather. Well, Cameron is the master of shoe leather. He's the guy who will film a scene. Somebody opens the door, walks through there's an awful lot of walking to get to the place that we know we're going to get to. And because you can see where the film's going, there are whole sections of it in which you just feel like you are, like Werner Herzog, you are literally dragging a boat up the side of a mountain, and it's a long way to get before you get to the top. That's a problem. The other thing is the whole idea about the immersive nature of the 3D. See, we were all told that the immersive 3D, this was going to be the thing that proved to us what 3D could do. It's not just pointy. It's not the pointy birds are pointy, anoint my head, anointy. It's something else. It's immersive. Now, Avatar is clearly the best 3D movie. It is the one that demonstrates what can be done with 3D, and it is an absolute demonstration of the fact that 3D is flim-flam. There are two ways in which you notice 3D, either when it's pointy spears, or when people are falling into ravines. It's good at pointing, it's good at falling. Beyond that, the immersiveness is nothing. And to prove it, I actually took the glasses off at one point to look at the screen out of focus, but to see what it looked like without seeing it through the glasses. And you know what? Even out of focus, because it was unrectified 3D image, it was every bit as impressive as it was with that. If you saw it on a big IMAX screen, if you saw it properly projected in a nice big cinema with a nice big sound system, you would have every bit the immersive experience of the 3D thing. But it is, I think, the defining point in the argument about 3D. You go, yes, that's what it can do, and that's done. There are moments in it in which it becomes... I mean, I never relaxed into the design of the creatures. I always found the creature design slightly too, I know it's...
Designy.
Designy. They are too design. And there are things about sometimes the trousers that they wear, the clothes they wear. It's just like, if you've spent all this money and all this time to create this incredible world, I kind of figure like you should have sorted out the creature design better. And there are moments in it, well, not moments, there are huge sections in it in which everything stops so that people can explain everything to each other in ways that are quite toe-curling. But that said, I would be lying if I said, firstly, that I wasn't much more impressed than I expected that I was going to be. Secondly, that there aren't things in it that are, genuinely quite breathtaking. And thirdly, that it did remind me that before Titanic, Cameron was a proper science fiction director. It's massively flawed, massively baggy, massively all over the place, but there was enough in it that you went, well, you know what? Wow.